Hey everyone, today's overview and review video is on Wonderlands War. So if you're new to the channel, this is 2 Sheep, 1 Wheat. My name is Krissy, and if there is a game that you would love to see on this channel, please let me know what that is down in the description below. Like this video, and of course subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoy this type of content, please take a look at our memberships, and also a big thank you to all those who have joined the memberships already. So let's go ahead and take a look at setup. There is a little bit of setup here just to get things going, and then we will talk about the components in this game. So for setup, this game takes place over 3 rounds. So we have these blue cards with the number 1 on here, and then we have 2, which is green over there, and the 3rd round is the red right there. So basically all you're doing is shuffling the deck, and you're placing the cards around the table, because during each round you have 2 different phases. You have the tea party phase, then you have the war phase. So if you're playing 2 players or 3 players, you're going to stop at this plate right here. If you're playing 4 players or 5 players, you'll need to fill in those locations there. Then these need to be placed into all of these Wonderland locations. These are basically just points that you're going to gain whenever you do win a battle in here, or you get 2nd place. These right here, I just wanted to show the difference between them. So retail and the deluxe version does come with these nice minis. So at the beginning of the game, we're going to use this one here since it is easier to see, and it does come with the stands. I'll take the stand off. So the sword here just indicates where the first battle is going to take place in each of the rounds. Then you're going to pick your character, and you can pick any of the characters that come with the game. This is the regular side, and if you flip it over, this is just the 2-player side that you're going to play with at 2 players. So you can pick whichever player card that you want, and you're going to set it up basically like this. And then so set up for this one, because I have it on a 2-player, you're going to need to put some supporters here, and then you'll be able to unlock some of these throughout the game if you choose to, and I'll talk a little bit more about these later on. So each player is going to get their own chips. Now, because I do have the deluxe version, we do have this nice tray right here that actually holds all of them in. So they have them all aligned. All basically the colors that you need are going to be the stack that you take. And for setup, because everything is going in your nice bag here, for setup for the bag is going to be all of your chips, forged chips depending on how many players you're playing. You'll also be taking madness chips. So you'll be taking 2 of these single madness chips, and you'll also be taking 1 of the double ones. Those are all going to go into your bag, and you basically want to fill up your bag with good chips so that whenever you get to the battle phase, you draw some really good chips. These chips right here are associated with our Wonderlandian cards, which are just right there. 3 of them are going to be drawn whenever you're playing the game, and it'll allow you to take these and use them during your turn as some kind of bonus or benefit for you. Some of them come with standees, and they act like characters helping you out, and like these ones here have the chips that go into your bag and will help you out whenever you draw them out. And then all of the characters place their characters over here at the head of the table. Again, we're going to be using the standees just so that you'll be able to see them. And depending how many players you're going to start with, you're going to take the associated number of shards. So that was basically a setup. So more about the components. So obviously we have our board here. And like I was saying, there are 2 phases during each round. So there are 3 rounds with 2 phases, the tea party phase and also the war phase that is going to happen around here. We also have our nice little tracker here that's going to keep track of all of our points until the end of the game. Then we have these quest cards right here. These are just going to be something that you need to complete during the war phase. And these will give you points at the end of the game. And if you can complete both of them on here, you'll get an extra bonus of 3 points. So total of 9 points per card at the end of the game. Then we have these ally cards right here. So these ones are going to help you in the game. You're going to be adding those chips into your bag. So how you collect these is going around the tea party phase, and you're going to be collecting some of these chips that have on these cards. So all of these have different benefits and bonuses on here for you whenever you're drawing them during the war phase. So we'll go through the phases, and then we can explain a little bit more how the chips work. So phase 1, the party phase, is every player going around the table here. So if you're playing with 3 or more players, you're going to draw 4 cards. If you're playing 2 players, you're going to be drawing 5 cards. Once everybody has 5 cards, then the party phase ends and you're going to move into the war phase. Each player, starting with the first player, is going to go around the table. You're going to want to pick cards that are beneficial to you. So how these cards work, let's just say that Alice here wants to go to this one here. She's going to stop at this table. I can break down the cards here for you. So this is a shard die. So whenever that is on a card, you're going to need to roll the shard die, and whatever number of shards that you have on it is the number of shards that you're going to be collecting and bringing it back to your player area. These are how many supporters that you're going to be putting out. These are your supporters, so I get 2. Now this is when you can kind of start setting up for the war phase. Depending on where you want to go, where you want to battle, you can also look at the victory points that you're going to be getting. So let's just say I want to stick the 2 supporters that I have over here in Meadow of Living Flowers. So I can do that, but now I also get the tokens here, so I would be getting 2 weak red rook right here. So that is these right here, and they would go directly into my bag. And you want to take your card and you want to keep it next to your board so that you can keep track of how many that you have. Now there are different ones on here. This one here has an icon here that will get rid of a shard if you so choose to take this card. You have these ones here with a slash between it, so this basically means you can do one or the other. But if you have one that looks like this one is you get a Wonderlandian card, but you can also take a weak ally chip of any kind, but you would have to roll the shard die. If you didn't want to roll the shard die, then you have the option not to as well. We have this icon right here. That is just a quest card. So during the game, you can collect more than one. You start the game off with one. Then we have this icon right here. So this one is your leader strength, way down here at the bottom. So if you chose to take that card, you would be able to put 1 supporter out on the board. You'd be able to collect one of the forged chips to your bag. So you'd be able to put that into your bag. And you would be able to raise your leader strength. And I'll get to the leader strength once we get into the war phase. So basically you're moving around the board, player order, player turn, you're going to be taking these cards. So if you make it past the head of the table again, you're going to need to roll the shard die, and you would collect the shards that are on the die, and then you would be able to replenish all of the empty spaces. So after the tea party phase, you're going to go into the war phase. So before we do that, everyone is going to get madness chips added to their bag because we're all going mad in this game. But the player who has the most shards in the game is going to get an extra 1. So that person will end up with 2 madness chips in their bag, but you also get to get rid of half of your shards rounding up. So that is a good way to get rid of some of them. So you would take your leaders, like I said, and right now, just for this setup, just for this video, I only have supporters over here in Meadow of Living Flowers. So I think I would just go ahead and put that there. So the way that the battle works, you start with where the sword is. That is going to be the first battle spot. If there's nobody, then you just move on until you get to a spot that there is. So now, typically you would have other players in this spot as well so that you can battle them for it. So at the beginning of a battle, you're going to want to figure out your starting strength. So because I do have a leader in here and my leader's strength is sitting at a 2, I'm going to go up 2 on this track to begin with. Now let's say that we had already battled, we're in the 2nd round, I won the last one, and I have a castle out on here. Castles start at a strength of 2. So if I did have my leader in here and a castle, my leader is at 2 and my castle is at 2, so I would start the battle at a strength of 4. You're going to start the battle, you're going to grab your bag, so you're going to shuffle it all around, and you're going to take one out. It's going to be kept secret like this. You all put your hands out over the board, and you're going to reveal which chip that you have selected. So the madness chips go right here. This is basically removing one of your supporters off of the board here. And if you don't want to do that, say you really want to win this location, you can flip over your shield right here and it can be on the broken side. And basically this would just go back into your bag and you won't be able to flip this back over again until you completely die in one of the spots. So when you decide to flip this over, then your supporter doesn't get taken off at all. If you remove one and it is just a regular chip, they get placed up here and the number on here. So the way to win this battle is to go up on this track up here. So if I have a 2 here, my token right here will go up 2 spots. Now in a 2-player game, because sometimes you're not going to be in all of the spots, you have a 2-player variant here and it starts at 5 and it moves up throughout the different rounds and it's going to be just act as another player for you to beat. So if you're only playing at 2 players, then that does come out. If you're not, then it comes off and you're just going to try to beat all of the other players. So for right now, I'm sitting at a 2 and say I did draw another disc and it is this one here. It is Red Rook. Now Red Rook, this one says, cannot be affected by any of your other chips' abilities. Now some of these other chips here have abilities on them if you draw them out and place them out. So creatures right here. So whenever you're drawing one of these here, these fuzzy pickles, I like to call them, they have two different types. So they have a weak and a strong. So these ones, whenever you're drawing a 1 out of your bag, and at the end of this battle, your chips are going to go down here into the exhausted pool. So once this chip goes down to the exhausted pool, it's actually going to change from a weak to a strong, and then it would go down there. So then the next time that you're drawing that chip out of your bag, instead of it being a weak chip, it's going to be a strong chip. It'll allow you to go up that track 5 spots. So that was creatures. Then flamingos here. So it gets to double the strength of the next chip that you're going to pull out and place onto your active track. So say I did pull a flamingo instead of my Alice chip here. I wouldn't be able to double this one because the red rook is just unaffected by anything. Card soldier here. This one is whenever you played, you get to return one of your exhausted chips to your bag, or you can double its strength. So this one is just a 1, so you could technically go up 2 on the track, or if you had a strong one, which is 2, you'd be able to gain 4. Or you could take one of these chips that are exhausted and you can place it into your bag. Now we have roses here. Roses, this one is going to give you victory points at the end of battle. So as long as you're in the battle, even if you don't win, you're still going to gain 1 victory point. Now, if you choose to forge with this one specific, you get to gain 2 victory points. Now, forging is this symbol right here, this hammer right here. And if you notice, I am on one on the track right here too for the battle. So if I were to end my turn there, I would get 2 forge symbols if I did draw this one too. Now, 2 forge symbols just means that you'll be able to forge on here. So your player area right here will give you some extra chips like I had set up at the beginning, or it'll gain some extra supporters. So you don't have to use the forge chip. You can use any of the other chips that you have drawn during that battle. So say I don't really care for this one. It's only a 1. It's not gaining me very much. It could potentially, for any of my other chips that I do draw, because it is the flamingo, it would double the strength of my next chip. I'm going to forge with this one. So forging is just basically putting it anywhere on the leftmost spot. So here I would be able to get rid of a shard. If I went here, I would be able to up my strength for my leader. If I went here, I would be able to get another supporter, and I would be able to get another quest card. So if I chose to do that, I would get both. And if I decided to cover this one up, whenever you win a battle, you're going to place one of your castles out onto that specific Wonderland location that you won. And in a 2-player game, it is going to lay flat because it's not quite completed yet. It's not constructed. You would have to win in a 2-player game that specific location twice for your castle sets upright. And you want it set upright because at the end of the game, these are going to be worth 3 victory points. Now, if you're playing with more than 2 players, your castles, whenever you win a location in the Wonderland, it's going to be placed upright right away, and that's just going to be strictly 3 victory points at the end of the game. However, if you cover this spot right here with this icon, that means that all of your castles that you have placed out onto the board, because you've won in those locations, they're actually going to be worth 4 victory points. So when you cover that up, now you can start filling up the ones beside it. So again, I did have 2 forge icons, so I would be able to cover up this one here as well. Now this one, it almost looks like a squid. This is going to give you some of these benefits here. If you can see, they are the same icon. So you have the choice here to pick one out of all of these. So these are all just different bonuses and benefits that you're going to be able to use. These 2 first ones on any of the player boards are going to be specific to these chips here, with the 3 specific to your character. So they're going to give you some kind of benefit extra because you're drawing those cards, those chips. So that is that one. You can choose whichever one you want. You take it off, and then it's always in effect. The further up on here, the more points your castles are going to be scoring at the end of the game. And then whenever you do fill in a complete row, as if you did this, you would actually gain this chip to your bag. So then if you have won in a battle and your opponent either gives up, which you have the choice to not draw anything in your hand, then you stop and you still stay where you are in the track, and hopefully you end up with 2nd place. So 2nd place gets half of the victory points that the winner does get. Let's just say that the green character here died off. There's none left. I am crowned the winner. I do have a castle on here already. So say this is the first round, I would gain 4 victory points. If we're in the 2nd round, you would gain 6. And if it is the 3rd and last round, you would be gaining 10 victory points. And then, like I was saying, at the end of each battle, you're going to take all of your active chips and bring them down to your exhausted. So the only way to refill your bag with all of your exhausted chips down here is to complete the madness chips on here until you get to the last one, and then you'll be able to take all of your chips and replenish your bag so that you can continue going through all of the different battles. So that is basically how the war phase plays out. Now to reset for the second round, which are the green cards up here, all of these blue cards would get picked up and placed to the side. You're going to roll the shard die to figure out how many spots that the sword is moving. So now we'll have a new location for the next first battle. You're going to take the green cards for round 2 and you're going to place those all out here depending on how many players you're playing with, and you place them there, and then all of your leaders go back to the head of the table. All of your supporters and your castles do stay out for the second war phase. So then at the end of the third and last round, you're going to be counting up all of your victory points, which are off of your quest cards, and you're going to be counting up how many castles that you have out on the board, and whoever ends up with the most points at the end of the game is the person who has won Wonderlands War. Now, first off, I just have to say that I really enjoy this theme. I think it is a very clever theme. I think it is very bright and colorful, and all of the different effects that your character has on them just definitely goes with the character itself. I love, love, love all of these components that are in this game. They're all very high quality. I love that this one does come with all of the minis. Now, minis, these ones are not painted, so they are just gray. We are not painters. We have had some of our games painted, the minis painted, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to get these done for these too. We usually get our minis painted by someone local here. They are on Instagram and they are Painting by Accident. I suggest everybody check them out. They do great, great work local to us, so shout out to Tammy over there. So hopefully she can do something with these ones for us. But the deluxe version does come with the standees, which are still good. I love standees. There's nothing wrong with standees. They're all colorful and you can see them. They do come with stands too. So I do like that it came with both. We can choose whichever one we want. I really do like though how these are all specific to the character. Like this is Alice in Wonderland. All of them come with custom supporters, these meeples, custom of them, which is nice because then you can see them a little bit better on the board too. Something else that I really like about this game is that the variety to play this game. Because for these ally cards here, there are different ones. So these are all A, they're just a little bit easier. They do come with B, C, and D, so you can mix it up. So not only can you all have them all the same letter, but you can actually mix them all up depending on whichever one you want, right? So they all come with different ones, so you can mix them all up. The variety is there, and you can do that. And then they actually do have player aids, first of all, player aids here for Tea Party turn and for the war phase, but they also have player aids for all of the ally cards. So you have all of what A is, and then if you wanted to play with all B, then it does give you a description of what they all are. So in case you're playing with multiple players and you're on the far side of the table and you can't really see, maybe these are set up over here, you can't see them, you do still have the player aid, which is really nice, and they do come with the C and the D version too. So even if you wanted to play with all of them, you can kind of see which ones that you have. And of course, because player aids is going to be +2 points on this channel, really enjoy those. These have come in handy quite a bit, and the game isn't too hard, which is nice. It looks like a lot. There's 2 different phases. There's 3 rounds. It felt like a lot, but it really isn't. There's only certain things that you can do. And the back of the rulebook does come with a little bit of a reference sheet here, and it's kind of neat the way that they have it. Do you have any units in the region? No, I don't. Okay, perfect. You're not going to be in the battle. Now, something that I didn't talk about this is wager. If you're playing this game with more than 2 players, there are wager cards for each and every character. And this is basically just wagering on which character is going to win. If you win, there is a bonus, and if you lose, there is a negative effect. So beware, make sure that you know who you're rooting for and make sure that they win. So they do have wager cards, which are really fun. Now, I have gotten to play this at 2 players. I've played this game multiple times because we've liked it so much. But I've also gotten to play this at 5 players, which I feel like almost never happens. We did have a game night. We went out to a board game cafe and we actually got to play with friends, which was just wonderful. And I was so happy that we were able to do that. This game did take a little bit longer to play, obviously, because we're playing at 5 players. But it didn't take too long, and actually none of us even knew how to play the game. That was the very first time we played this game, was at 5 players. I had no problem learning the game, and I had no problem playing the game either. Now that was the first game, and usually I do really well at first games. Apparently that's only with Nick, but I ended this game up with the first time that we played at score 36, which is pretty low, and I have since done really well. I've only won this game one time, which has to do with luck because you're drawing these chips out of your bag, but there is a way to not take the chip that you draw out of the bag, but it is only just the one time, and then you break your shield, and then the only way to refill, or the only way to fix your shield, and the only way to do that is to completely lose in a battle. So which one, right? But yeah, a lot of luck pulling out what you have in your bag, but you have some choice of what goes in there. Now you're always getting madness chips at the beginning of each war phase. So you're still getting those in there, and you're still going to draw them, which is good though, because you still need them to be able to put your chips back into your bag. But you kind of know what's in your bag because you're choosing the cards during the tea party phase, the chips that you want to be put in there. So you want to make sure that you're getting good ones, but then you also, you know, if you want Wonderlandian cards, that you can play with them because they're going to be acting like a supporter for you, or another character that's going to give you more strength for the battles. And then the extra chips, the chips are really cool. Like this one here, 𝒕𝒨𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍. So this one here says, when played, if you have another active bow tie chip, then you get to place 2 supporters in that region. Just for having 2 of these out on your active chips here, you get to place 2 more out on the region, which is great because this is how you're going to be winning here, and that's how you're going to be winning these victory points here too. I try to get a lot of these chips, and I try to pick locations that are a little bit more victory points. But again, if you do the quest cards here, you also would potentially get 9 victory points here. So something about this game that I really like is that what your track is at the end of the game, like where your victory point is, whatever mark that you have, whatever score that you have, is not the final score. So nobody knows who is actually going to win the game, which is something that I really enjoy in the game. I like that you can keep track of score a little bit, and you can kind of judge and see where people are at, but you never know who is going to win, and I really like that about this game. I also really like that there are 2 phases. You're setting yourself up for the war phase, which is something else I really enjoyed with this game. Really love drawing these chips out of here. So because this is the deluxe version, our chips are a little bit weighted, and I do really like these chips versus just the punch-out tokens that the retail version comes with. So some things about the deluxe version that I like, some things that I don't necessarily like, but there is something, I don't know, there's just something about all of these and the noise that it makes drawing them out, and the whole secret. I think the secret kills me. I always want to peek and see what it is before I do it because I just don't like not knowing. So, but I do enjoy pretty much everything about this game. I'm not sure if I have anything negative to say about the game. Love all the characters and everything. They really did really well with this game because of Alice in Wonderland. So I really enjoy everything about this game. Nothing negative to say, especially with the deluxe version too. I don't remember what the setup was inside the box for the retail version, but setup obviously takes a little bit more time. But with the organization within the box is really nice because setup and takedown really isn't too bad. Everything has its place and everything fits really well within the box. The chips for this one here, the chips, this goes actually inside of the bag too, so nothing is outside of the bag. It is a little bit of a larger box, but it still fits in here no problem. I've had some of the videos go out already and the box was over here in the cubby and it fit perfectly. So, but yeah, I really enjoy everything. Everything about this game. The Wonderlandians are cool. Some of the Wonderlandians that you can't play with at a 2-player, there are some bonus ones in here too, like the white rabbit up at the top. That's a bonus one that we ended up getting. And then with the deluxe one, you still have these for the Wonderlandians as well. But everything flows really well with this game. Everything is really nice. If you're a fan of Alice in Wonderland, so if the theme really fits, if you like luck type games because of drawing the chips out of the bag, and there is some bidding in this game too, as long as you're playing with more than 2 players. So if anything I've said in this video may intrigue you, this is probably a game for you. Definitely take a look at this game. It might be something to look into. It might be something that you really enjoy. And if you do, let me know in the comments what you think about this game, or even if you already have it and have played it. So let me know what you think about this game down in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you next time.